Okay, guys, welcome you in our scheduled K8GB project open meeting. So I'd like to join actually on your congratulations last week. That's really, I want to congratulate all of us. It's really amazing milestone. We have 1 year since we actually been approved to CNCF sandbox. So it's like 30th of March, right?
Yeah, it's the date when we appeared in a like mailing list, like as a selection happened, right? An actual meeting was a couple of days ago, but I still like some referenceable link,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And then it was like quite a process, a month or so, right, to actually on board. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Easy. Join after it was cool. But hey, I mean, speaking about coolness, I think like using now is like one of the most active maintainers of K8GB. So it's I don't know what else can be coolest than this, right? Yeah. So you guys have anything like to put on agenda in general? I asked like in chat. Not sure we have like anything particular to discuss. Otherwise, we can go through previous points and
yeah. Just a quick one. I already asked, but it was forgotten. Irji, please add your recent presentation and post them to the presentation table. Yeah.
Oh, you mean for README file on K8GB or?
Yeah. So okay. it will be like it begs to be added. You see, there is an empty place in a square.
Right, the rectangle. It's already on the YouTube channel. I feel that if we are going to do that all the time, it will be a lot of time soon. Probably it's
a nice problem to have.
Yeah, nice problem to have, exactly, right? But yeah, I was thinking if we can add something like the like materials, so I don't know, some video sections to our site, right? So yeah, maybe we can be like can inspire from some of the CNCF projects how they have. But yeah, I think sky's the limit now. As we have a channel, we can produce any like demo or training videos we want, like without animation, and yeah, we can author any kind of creative content there. Yeah, and I guess we can. I'm not sure if we can refer the videos from about us there. If we can put the links, I'm not sure. So in that sense, this landing page still stays the, how to say, the landing for all videos about us, because our content is in the channel, but those meetings on community, meetings, Sigma clusters, containers from the coach, I think it's good to be for them to be referenced there. Yep. So I'll put an action item then, like usually to.
Yeah, I have one topic for agenda, which is we briefly talked about it with Tim, I think on our one-on-one. And idea is if we should put our images to another registry other than Docker Hub. The easy one is the GitHub one, the GHCR .io registry, because it's pretty easy to do, and you can think of it as a backup that if something goes wrong with Docker Hub, people can just switch to the alternative registry.
Are we talking about moving or just like for now the backup channel?
Redundancy as a backup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it makes sense. And by GHCR, is it GitHub one? GitHub registry?
Yes. GHCR is GitHub one, and GHR, I think it's Google one. GCR is Google one.
Should we put to both, or?
I think you need an account for. Obviously you need an account for both, but for GitHub it's easier because we already are on GitHub for everybody.
Yeah, and it will be kind of nicely integrated into the package tab, right? If I remember correctly,
Yes,
so it will be accessible, or at least visible.
And I guess with Go Releaser, I think it, yeah, we have support from GitHub.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to do. I did it for the other repo of mine, and it's pretty easy. Also, we Go Releaser.
Yeah, as we go towards Docker-free development environment, K8GB, I think it makes sense. And I've noticed, so I've seen your PR about the OCI compatible changes.
Yeah, it's partially related. I actually come to this, I discovered this label because of this integrated registry in GitHub, because it kind of tries to interpret those labels. If you put, for instance, description on your image, it will print the description of like what is it about. But there are more of them, kind of metadata for images. So it's pretty easy to add them via Go Releaser, and it conforms the OCI standard. It's like it's a halfway solution because OCI is a specification of some JSON manifest. It should look in some form. There are some annotations that are taken from this kind of namespace. But if you don't have OCI compliant images, you can at least put those labels on these images. Then again, they end up in an annotation or in another JSON file, but it's not OCI compliant, or at least that's how I understand it. So I was discovering this, like how to produce those OCI images. And first, you need, like, if you publish anything to Docker Hub, my understanding is that they internally store it as in an old format in Docker Manifest v2, I think it's the form. And there are tools that can convert between those images, like Scopio. You can pull image from the old format and save it in a tar file in the OCI format. And for instance, GitHub supports both formats. So my understanding is that if we produce OCI images, we can store it natively in the OCI format. But in a way, it doesn't matter because there are tools to convert them back and forth.
So if I'm not mistaken, the GitHub registry is OCI compatible, right? So I'm thinking, what stops us from producing OCI compatible images? There shouldn't be OCI compatible only. I mean, you can produce both.
Currently, I was looking into it, how Go Releaser creates those images, and it has support for creating OCI compatible images for via integrating with Podman, but it's not part of that like free tier, subscription, or what is it? But I have to like dive deeper, and probably because I don't understand it fully, but my understanding is that if we produce also the old version of image, but if we push it to the correct registry, the conversion will happen somewhere under the hoods, or that's my like visual thinking. But if it's so, it will be pretty easy to do also with the current toolkit. But I'm not sure. I tried to verify how it's done.
Well, I think we can also extend it, right? So we can add another plugin. Not sure if the enterprise version kind of have it already, but we can introduce Scopio as the open source version. Also, I think there are like pre-built hooks, so you can build your binaries and then basically the Go releaser will pick them up and handle.
Yeah, and or it can be like additional step in GitHub action that will run Scopio and do something about it.
Oh, that, yeah.
And I feel like we are not the only ones. Definitely, we are not the only ones trying to produce a compatible images
But
with Go releaser.
isn't it more about like the registry and how to store them rather than the format? I mean, the both things are simply a tar image, and it only differs in metadata around that.
Yeah, not sure. I think so, but I'm not sure. Like if I did the snapshot in tar file using Scopio, it created different tar file than the old format. I mean, the manifests were slightly different in it. You know, there are those like a long hash of the layer. Inside the layer, there were files that was the same, but the initial manifest in the root of the directory was a little bit different. The form of the JSON file, but yeah, it was pretty similar.
Also, there is a what's that? Ginkgo? Or not Ginkgo? The Google one. Building images without
Kaniko.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used that before. It's pretty easy to use. It utilizes the same config file as Docker. You tried to make it Docker compatible before. You know, that's home.config.docker or what is it?
Well, I think it's good to have and see whether it will be demanded.
Cool. Okay, anything else we'd like to discuss?
Did anybody receive any message regarding possible K8GB office hours on upcoming conference? I didn't see any yet.
Yeah, me neither. So maybe we can ask Amy or
the ladies that contacted us previous time. I'm not sure if it
Amy, I
was
think it was
Amy, or I think well, it might be already another person, but anyway, find out, or just wait a bit. Maybe they just didn't dispatch.
So as you just said, that looks like KubeCon schedule is pretty fixed right now. And I've already seen some project office hours planned, I think, day before the main conference. So I think we should check right away. Yeah, but good point. Okay, so if there are no other topics to discuss, we can briefly check the previous notes and see maybe we missed something. I don't see any action items from previous meeting. So I think like the main topics for us was the core DNS, delegation, the preparation for release. I think this is done. I mean, ingress v1 migration. So we already have 0.9. Now release, and I know Jiří, you were doing some post-release work in OLM area. Is everything good there?
Yeah, that's already done. I had to make a change to the tool we use for producing this OLM manifest. Got merged by Dinar. Yeah.
Cool, and it looks like that PR about getting like rid of the Docker desktop in dev environment that's already merged as well. So we are fully supporting the Ingress v1, I think, since new release. What else? Did I miss anything? And Michal, you said you started with like proper round robin.
Yeah, yeah. I was investigated how the round robin is working in core DNS. Unfortunately, this plugin actually it is like a mixing together like a IP version 4 and IP version 6 records, you know, so it makes some like a random round robin, but like in a way that once it just doesn't group the records together, you know, because usually you want to have the same host, but like for instance, two IP versions, you know, version 4 and version 6, but still one host, you know. So
IPv6 is a different record type.
yeah, it is different record type. That's true. But basically, we want to point them. We could have like situations where we have like one host, but accessible via two record types, via IP version 4 and IP version 6. But it is still one host. So am I wrong?
But the kind of the CRD will be separated. So you either query for a record or you query for AAA record.
Yeah.
That depends on the client. Like if the client says, give me IPv6 address of that host, you query for AAA record, and only IPv6 will be returned.
That's true. That's the for the question of the resolver. But if we want to like mix them somehow, and once we want to provide host A and once we want to provide host B, we want to, let's say, in case of two clusters, we want to switch between host A and host B for each hit, you know, ideally. And basically, we shouldn't care about DNS type. You know, it doesn't matter how many DNS type. If host A has like IP version 4 and IP version 6, and host B supports only IP version 4, for instance, we shouldn't care. We should always bring like once host A and once host B.
That's kind of what kind of the query type is done by the system resolver. So you cannot, unless you configure it like explicitly, there is always a fallback.
But the problem of the current implementation of load balancer is if we have like host A IP version 4, host A IP version 6, and host B IP version 4, only those three, it mixed like, for instance, that it just switched the host it's switch a record with IP version 4 record with IP version 6 record. You know, it doesn't switch those two like groups. Doesn't switch the hosts. It switch the records. It doesn't matter what the record type. You know, so it
sounds like a bug.
Yeah. In totally random round robin, it is totally okay, because once you have like a EU region, second time you have EU region again, third time you have EU region again, and the fourth time you have US, which is totally fine because it is random. But if you want to make it consistent, we shouldn't keep that back, you know. From some reason, it is also involving CNAMEs, which just doesn't make sense to me. So what I realized, I started to make like a new plugin. I didn't extend the existing one, and I'm implementing the random and consistent way at the moment. I'm ignoring the weight round robin because I'm not so far. And when I finish it, and from my perspective, when it will be clean, I will, don't know yet, I will deliver the new plugin, or maybe I will like rewrite the load balance plugin, the existing one. You know, so this is unclear for me at this moment, but for me, it's at this moment clearer to start with a very new plugin. It's just for myself to make it easier to test, etc. So that's from my corner.
Do you have some sketch already pushed somewhere?
Yes, it is under the APSA core DNS, and there is the branch. I forgot the name. The branch is called round robin.
Okay,
so
I will take a look.
Yeah, take a look or ping me, and we can look together on it. But basically, it's not yet in the form where it should be. It requires some time.
By APSA, do you mean APSA OSS?
Yeah.
And which is the plugin? The core.
Round robin plugin.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's far away from having it done. So.
And I have a question, like what's your take on or your approach on the consistency in the round robin? Like, do you hash some features of client and then do some modulo over the index of the possible host, and you select the over time the same one, or like, because you need to somehow identify the client, right?
Yeah. Basically, at this moment, we will keep that within the in-memory object, because core DNS is able. It has like some on start, on plugin start, on plugin finish, and on server start, etc. It has such events. So we start some like a cache object within that. And regarding the client identification, basically it's not resolved at the moment yet.
Why exactly we need to store anything in memory in terms of that consistent hashing? Is like you select something randomly and you assign it to a hash table, or?
Well, it will not be like a hash table. You know, there must be some like I need to keep like probably more. This object needs to be like more smarter, you know. And I was also thinking whether I should keep like the strategy of providing items to resolver via this like object, or keep it like more on the plugin also. but as I thought, it's not far yet, you know. I spent some time by identifying how this existing plugin is working and what I'm able to do, and started to integrate the new one. So.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I wonder how this memory profile is gonna look like, depending on the amount of services and
Yeah,
ingress
that's also
objects we have.
my concern. Ideally, stateless solution would be because it's doable, right? At consistent hashing, you basically don't need state, I think, but I probably would like to see the code because there are always some quirks.
Cool. I think our free time is getting over. I think we have like around 3 minutes left. So I don't know. Anything else we would like to discuss?
Nothing from my side.
Except the fact that we're probably all going to meet together on KubeCon in Valencia. Yay.
That would be amazing, sure.
Okay, cool then. Folks, let me ask you, I tried to briefly fill in the meeting minutes. Just if you feel like you would like to add anything, please go and do. And if some of you still missing access, please ping us in the chat. Yeah, we'll try to help. Otherwise, have a very lovely day and see you in the next meeting and see you in internets.
Cool. Have a great day, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.